Thanks so much. So, welcome everybody as you join us from wherever you're joining. It's great to see all of those happy faces joining a Women in Leadership session. My name is Pauline O'Brien, for those who don't know me, and I have the privilege of chairing the ECIS Women in Education Special Interest Group. And this is the committee here on the screen for you, and I'm sure you know many of these folks, but I wanted to highlight the work of this committee. We are all tireless agents of supporting women in our conquest, and we're always trying to highlight women around the world so that they can share their nuggets of knowledge and information for you that can perhaps help you in your day-to-day as you go about your positions. And so this is the committee, and today we have a special speaker with us called Nicola Holloway. And as I mentioned to those just joining, Nick joins us all the way from Thailand today, so it's really late for her. So we really appreciate her staying up this late and to presenting this late, not only just staying, but actually staying to present. So thank you so much for that. And so our session today is about mentorship in action. But before we get on, as people come in, I just want to tell you a little bit about Nick and her background. Let me just pull this up here. So Nick is a global educator and adventurer and has lived in 9 countries across 4 continents. She served on many leadership teams in Vietnam, Germany, India, and Thailand. And on this journey, she has balanced the joys and challenges of family life with a career dedicated to supporting learning and growth. So she's currently pursuing a PhD, and her research focuses on strengths-based leadership and empowering women to lead for global good. Nicola has a clear purpose to inspire growth, cultivate courage, and create positive change. And through her work, she's committed to learning, sharing, and exploring new possibilities in leadership in education. And we are really thrilled to have Nicola with us today to share her knowledge and views with us and to help us all learn together. So without further ado, welcome again to everybody. Please put in the chat where you're calling in from so that we can recognize you. And I'll now hand over to Nick.
Thanks, Pauline. So yes, I'm going to click on a photo of my family. As I said, in the introduction there, I am a mum, a wife, a daughter. I wear many hats, as we often do, and I manage all that mum guilt along with being a school leader as well. And yes, I absolutely do describe myself as an adventurer. About a few hours ago, I was on a dive boat in some of the most pristine waters in Thailand. And then after that, I was like, yes, I'm going to stay up to 11 o'clock and talk to some amazing women, because what we're all about is helping each other to thrive and to overcome those barriers that we face as women. And one of the ways we can do that is through mentoring each other. So in addition to that, I'm also the founder of a leadership company called Leaderably, and I coach and mentor and do consultancies with schools around the world. So that's a little bit about me. Today's session, we're going to be exploring what is mentorship, thinking about how we can be great mentors for each other in our international schools, or whether you're in international or state schools, and how to build your mentor network. So please do add into the chat box where you're from, where you're joining us from today if you haven't done so already. I would love to know where you all are. What we're going to do is hop on to our first AI created images here. I had to get a little mentoring to work out how to do this, and my husband, who is a little bit more trained in such things, showed me how to do this. So I would love to know, again, pop it in the chat box. How do you view mentorship? What does the word mentor mean to you? I'm going to pause and give you time to write.
It's such an important question, isn't it, Nick? It means so many different things, right, for so many different people. So it's really good to see where people are at in their journey and how they think about this.
And I chose these pictures. I intentionally wrote some pictures around what I view mentorship to mean. So please don't necessarily be influenced by those. You can be inspired if you wish to be.
So we've got some answers here for you. A mentor is a guide, a critical friend for someone who gives advice and support, sharing a pathway, a guide, role model, someone who mentor means support and influence to me, someone who helps guide me through my experiences, like a coach, guide and leadership. Mentors are safe people who support, guide, challenge, listen, and connect. They are people who say your name and lift you up. And the mentor is a personalized, caring, and support, someone who offers a supportive relationship. There's some of the answers coming in right now.
Fabulous. And I think a lot of those points, so that safety, that guide on the ride, the critical friend, because we're often getting feedback from our mentors, are all part of what we're going to be exploring today. We are in this together. So as women leaders, we are, as women educators, we are in this together. We're not competing, we're collaborating. And through that collaboration, we can overcome, like I said before, those barriers that we may face as women educators, and we can help each other to take those barriers down and to get further than we can by ourselves. And that's kind of that perspective of mentorship. It's how we help each other along this journey of education. Okay. And when I was choosing these pictures, because my background is educational leadership, I very much slip into leadership as my lens of mentoring. But mentoring can be for anything. And so when I was very recently starting my business, I didn't know anything about starting a business. So I was out there looking for personal mentors that can teach me what I don't know. So every single one of you in this room, in this virtual room, is a mentor for something. You all have expertise. You all have strengths. You can all give us a helping hand to climb over some rocks, to climb some mountains, to achieve something that we can't do yet. And that's something that my dad always told me as the message is, you just can't do it yet, right? And that's what we're thinking of with our mentor, is how we get to that yet point. So you're going to give yourself now a little boost. What's the area that you feel you are a confident mentor in going into this conversation? So put that in the chat box. If you were going to be a mentor right now, what would you want to mentor somebody in? Well, I've completely lost the chat box. It was here a minute ago.
Don't worry, I'm gonna. Vicky says she would help someone mentor recognizing their strengths and the impact those strengths can have on others. Thank you, Vicky.
Amazing.
If I was mentoring, I would be helping people recognize not only their strengths, but the impact they have in general in their career, and how they would speak confidently and passionately about that. Someone says being resilient and recognizing strengths, and another says leadership skills.
Fabulous.
Helping others to be leaders in education, educational leadership. Someone says systems thinking and organizational growth. A lot of people need a mentor to serve as their tipping point, the person in their corner to believe in them.
Absolutely. And that's that cheerleader. That's why I put those. I wasn't sure about putting cheerleaders in as an image in our leadership, but then I was like, no, that's what we are. Part of being a mentor is that cheerleading, celebrating milestones, celebrating wins.
Yeah,
please do have a read through those different people, because you might be looking for a mentor and you might have just found one. So there might be a mentor in that list that can help you to work through something that you need to work through. So make a note, because we're going to be talking about expanding our mentor network later. Now, chat came up and I've got to get it out of my screen now. So if you do the reading or you do any workshops, you tend to find that there's a sort of a difference between being a mentor, being a coach, and being a facilitator or a trainer. The coach is more of that, how you achieve your goals. So you're setting goals with your coach and you're working through achieving that with your coach in one-to-one or group settings. Got a little picture there. That's actually me training to be a coach. I was being coached to be a coach at that point. And you can see, again, we've got those cheerleading arms up there. We're all celebrating the fact that we've met our goals there. That facilitator or trainer piece is one way of, developing skills and learning new information that you need to learn. Generally a transmission facilitator kind of model. And that's a picture of me there running an IB workshop. So it's kind of that growing people's knowledge and skills. And then the mentor is traditionally seen as kind of the guide on the ride. And you're there, like we've already heard, you're in someone's corner, you're celebrating with them, you're helping them along that journey, getting them to that tipping point, and it's strengths-based. It's about encouragement, networks, growing the person. You can grow through any of these. You might need at one point a mentor, you might need a coach, you might need some facilitation. All of them have a role to play in your professional growth. And in all reality, and this is kind of my next slide, they all mix together. And so elements of coaching go over into mentoring, go into training. You can keep them separate. As a school leader, my experience is actually you're doing a bit of a lot of these all of the time. And so you kind of need your facilitation skills, you need your mentoring skills, and you need your coaching skills. And there is an overlap to you in the court. Actually, that probably wasn't a very good thing, because that's you as a leader and you as a person. So in the you in the middle there, I meant the person who is growing, the person who is the mentee or the coachee or the person being trained in the middle. They're experiencing this overlap of different skills. And then you as a facilitator or you as a coach or you as a mentor need to overlap your skills to get the person where they need to be or where they want to be. Because if you are a mentee, you have to want to go down the journey. If you are a mentor, you are helping somebody who wants to go on that journey. You can't force anybody to do that journey if they don't want to be on that journey. Now, in that overlap, there's the idea that you come from a strengths-based perspective. So we're always viewing people from positive intent, because everybody has strengths. Everyone has strengths in the area that they are growing in, and everybody has strengths as a person that they can apply to that new context. And that's the same whether you're a mentor, a facilitator, or a coach. Empathy, listening skills, questioning skills are all relevant for all of these roles. So if you're learning those skills for one of them, you can apply them to another. And I know something that I get asked a lot is around that, what are good questions to ask, a lot to help people along their journey. And there is an amazing book. It's called The Coaching Habit. I would recommend it to everybody. It comes up with, I think it's 8 questions that's in the book, and it provides a great coaching habit, but it's also a great mentoring habit, and you can dip into those questions. I'm also putting together for something else a list of helpful open-ended coaching questions, which I'm more than happy to share with the group if that's something that would be helpful for you in having coach-like, mentor-like conversations with people in your organization or beyond. So just let me know. Actually, Pauline, is there a way we can send that out to people?
Yeah,
Is
we
that
can. We
easy to
absolutely
do?
can. We can share that as a resource afterwards. Yeah.
Fabulous. Okay. So yeah, in all, whilst every organization that I've worked with for training on mentoring and for coaching has told me that they are separate things, when I sit in the training, there's a lot of overlap. Okay.
Nick, I have a
My
quick question. Can I ask a question
Yeah,
about that?
yes.
Would you suggest that people are explicit when they're explaining around, I'm now mentoring, I'm now coaching, or I'm now training, that people develop language around that? Because I see so much overlap between both, that people, as you've just been saying, that people think it's the same thing, but it is actually very interlinked. Do you find there's a way of speaking about that, so there is that distinction?
So it really does depend on the context. And if you do training with the EMCC, they look at coaching and mentoring quite closely linked. I did ICF, my background's in ICF, the International Coaching Federation, for my coaching. And then my mentoring's been through ECIS and various other places. And so I did my training separately, whereas some is closer together. What I choose to do is, when I'm setting up my mentoring or coaching contract with somebody, I make it clear in there's sort of a negotiation phase. I'm like, are you okay if I coach you? Are you okay if I mentor you? And if I make that call, and people are normally like, yes, I want both of those. I want that advice and I want that sort of support where I'm questioned to find my own path. And that sort of, there's a what I call a coaching or a mentoring agreement where that negotiation happens. In my day-to-day, if I'm going into a meeting and I find that somebody needs something from me, I sometimes say, do you want me to coach you now? Do you want me to just listen now? Do you want me to mentor you and give you some advice about this? And I find out what the person wants. And that way, yes, we are being explicit about which hat we are wearing.
Yeah.
Did that
Great.
answer that question?
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Are there any other questions? Is this a good time to just see if there's any questions so far?
I don't have any now, but everyone feel free, please, to contribute in the chat if questions come up as Nick continues through her presentation. Nothing so far.
Absolutely.
But
All
I'm
right.
sure people are happy with the coaching habits recommendation of that book. So
yeah, it's a great book. I can't say his name, but he's written a few books and they're all fabulous. So okay, so this is the EMCC definition of mentoring. And I'd love to know, based on what we've sort of already thought about, what do you connect with in that statement, in that definition of mentoring? Because one of the things that hasn't really come up, which is interesting, is this idea that it's a two-way partnership. So pop in the chat box, what are the words that resonate with you from that definition around mentoring? It could be something that you connect with, something that's new to you, something that you're just like, yeah, I love that.
Learning, relationship and sharing of skills. Inclusive, partnership and mutual learning. Experience sharing. Sharing keeps coming up. We're learning from each other. Learning, relationship and mutual learning, values differences. Sharing skills and experiences, developmental conversations, and match quality, mutual learning. So the themes are coming up for everyone. Pretty similar, actually. A lot around the sharing.
Yeah, and I would say that when I go into a mentoring relationship with somebody, in particular when I volunteer to do that. So I volunteer with WISE and I volunteer with ECIS to do mentoring with those two organizations. And it's a really rewarding two-way process, because I'm learning so much from my mentee, as well as learning about how they would approach things, learning about the ideas that they're bringing, learning from talking through challenging situations that I may not have ever experienced, and we work through those together. And so it really is this two-way win-win situation. Okay, actually, I'm going to say it's a win-win-win situation, but we're going to come up with the third win in a minute. So yeah, that it is symbiotic. It is beneficial for everybody involved. It's a two-way partnership. So I'm glad that came up. Okay. So this is where it's win-win-win, because a lot, actually, I've divided these out and done a little bit of research into each of these. In many ways, they really do, again, overlap. So the benefits for mentors and the benefits for mentees and the benefits for organizations tend to sort of all blur. There's quite a lot of research that both for mentors and for mentees, you become better leaders. And by becoming better leaders, there's more likely to be people who are promoted. And this isn't in education, this is sort of worldwide in industry. There's also the idea, which comes up again and again, that there is that kind of fulfillment in supporting other people. Okay, so it's a lot of giving back to the industry, giving back to other people, helping, and the personal fulfillment that comes along with that. In terms of your organization, if you are in a position to help your organization develop mentoring within its structures, there's a lot of benefits for the organization too, because we know that people, when they feel valued, when they feel motivated, when they feel heard, and when they feel supported to grow, so you have that growth processes in your school, people are more likely to stay. So mentoring from the Gallup research does reduce turnover. It also provides, and here I got my leadership mind in, it provides that pipeline of leaders. So if you've got people mentoring people, developing those skills, developing that emotional intelligence, developing those conversation and people leadership skills, it builds your leadership capacity within your organization. And of course, it develops skills and spreads good practice across your school. So there's lots of reasons to mentor within your school as well as beyond your school, because it's good for your organization, it's good for the people in your organization, and it's good for you as a mentor or a mentee to be involved in the process. So here we are with me and one of my mentors. So obviously dressed like a very traditional mentor and mentee here. And this is actually my head of school. And together we go through mentoring conversations all the time. We're kind of peer mentors. Sometimes we're working through a challenge that she has in leading the school. Sometimes we're working through a challenge that I have leading the school. And sometimes we're working on a mutual challenge where we've both got to figure out what's going on. And we support each other exactly how we were saying before, Pauline, in what type of conversation do we want to have about what we're facing right now? What type of skill do we want to develop? Do we need to have a mentoring conversation? Do we need to have a coaching conversation? Can you teach me how to do this? There's lots of very open dialogue about how we want to grow through whatever challenge it is that we're facing. So what we're going to do now is to pop you into a chat room and a breakout room, and you're going to think of a mentor. It might be a family member, it might be somebody in school, it might be somebody who mentored you to do something that's nothing to do with school. And think about what are the common themes that you hear in your story when you tell your story of who your mentor was, what they helped you to do, and why did having that mentor work or not if it didn't work? I presumed it would be a story of where the mentorship worked, but it might not be. So why did it work? Why did it not work? And then we're going to feedback on your stories in about 10 minutes, I think.
Yeah,
And
and
Pauline is
this is
going to set
also,
it up.
yeah, an opportunity to network and to meet some people that you haven't met before, perhaps. So please use this as an opportunity to build in that network as well, as Nick mentioned earlier on. So you're going to break out, and Abby is setting that up for us just now, and we'll see you back in the main room in about 8 minutes time. So please make the best of this time together, and also perhaps someone would like to share from your group as we come back in to the main session on the conversations you've been having. All right, so you should be able to join a room now. Enjoy.
Oh, well remembered.
Hold on. Welcome back, everyone. I see smiley faces. Looks like people have had good conversations. Welcome back, everyone. We hope you enjoyed those conversations together. Abby, you might need to mute. Yeah, thanks. Welcome back, everyone. Smiley faces. Always good to connect with other female leaders, isn't it?
Yes.
Best bit. It's the best bit of the sessions, I always feel. Anyone willing to share out? Anyone want to share the conversations they had or an example? Please feel free to unmute and share with us.
I can share.
Thanks, Amanda.
So one thing our group noticed is that 3 of the 4 of us all named one of our current mentors as someone at ECIS.
Oh, wow. Excellent.
So I think like I work Nancy mentors me, and then we had Cam, and I'm missing someone else, but yeah, 3 of our 4 members are actively working with an ECIS mentor.
Amazing. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else like to share before we move forward? Did anyone have an aha moment? Like, oh yeah, these are the common themes.
I can share something. Not really necessarily about an aha moment about what we've been talking about with what mentorship is, but I've been very fortunate to have a mentor at every school that I've worked at so far. And those are ongoing relationships that I really value a lot. But one of my colleagues, Bedin Hoja, mentioned that she has never herself had a mentor. So that was just really interesting to hear and to have the perspective that not everybody gets to like experience good mentorship. So I feel very grateful for the mentoring that I've had. But also Bedin Hoja was able to share how she is currently in a mentor relationship with another teacher at our school, and how rewarding that's been.
Excellent. Thank you for sharing
Thank
that.
you, Margaret. Thank you, Margaret.
I think we take it for granted that indeed we all have mentors and sponsors and so on, and it's really not the case. So the more that we can breed awareness to this, which was what we wanted to do today as well. But back over to you, Nick.
Can I just ask, Amanda, would you just mind, I don't know if you would mind sharing, what process did you go through to get your ECIS mentor?
Oh, I'm yeah, no problem. I'm registered on the ECIS, the mentoring platform.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, it was a few years ago. Somehow I wasn't at a school that was at ECIS, and somehow I was on the email list, so I happily signed up, and then uh I volunteer as a mentor, and then I approached Nancy and asked her if she'd be willing to mentor me, and she said yes. And we've been chatting ever since.
Excellent.
Fabulous, thank you.
Yeah.
All right, so everybody else on the call can do the same thing.
Yeah.
Fabulous, thank you. Okay, so, oh, right, something's stopping me clicking. What's going on? Hold on. There we go. So in terms of being either a mentor or a mentee, there's lots of things that you can do to kind of make that successful. And I'm thinking when we've got a form, we're going to talk about different types of mentorship in a moment, but if you have a formal mentor-mentee relationship, and it's not one that's sort of inside your school, you're often going to go through a process of setting up, like I was mentioned before, some kind of agreement, whether that's a written agreement. A lot of organizations do have a sort of pro forma written agreement that you both sign off on. And that's around that confidentiality piece, that safety piece, that respecting the conversations that you have, providing they are legal and ethical, they stay within the room, and that you're going to support each other through the process. So it also sets those boundaries on the sort of timings and the amount of contact that you have and how you're going to have those conversations and all of those things. So that sort of negotiation between those things can go into your formal or informal contracting, that contracting phase. Really understanding, if you're a mentor, why somebody wants to be mentored, because you can't mentor somebody on everything, right? You may be the right person to mentor on some things, and it might be that the mentee needs multiple mentors because they need mentors for different parts of their role or different areas of life or whatever it is. So it's about being the right person for the right mentor at the right time. Part of that is building a relationship, and actually that relationship and that open conversation often transcends your knowledge as a mentor, which is when you kind of also go into that coaching phase, because whilst you may not have experienced that, you can coach somebody through it even if you haven't experienced that before, whereas a mentor tends to have had many of those experiences and is helping somebody along that pathway. So again, we've got that sort of blurred lines between coaching and mentoring. Trust is vital for your I'm sure that would have come through in your conversations, that you really trust the person, that it's a very open, celebratory kind of conversation and relationship that you have with your mentor or your mentee. As a mentor, listening, and I know it comes up with so many things, right? Being a good listener, being empathetic, helping people set goals, viewing them, people around you as being strong, capable people, all helps with that mentoring process. And then if you are on the mentee side, that idea of really taking initiative, and exactly as Amanda did, just stepping out and going, will you be my person? Like, taking the initiative is part of what makes a great mentee. Trying new things, taking responsibility and ownership for your own journey is really what makes a great mentee. Now, you all had stories to share, stories to tell. Is there anything that you would like to add that would be your top tip for being a mentor or a mentee that I may not have included on this list because I only had so much space on the slide? So I'd love to know, pop it in the chat if there's anything that you would add to this list or would like to share with anybody else.
So some things coming through: incorporate reflective practices as part of your norms. And duration matters, and my best mentoring relationships have taken time to develop. Amanda, I think that's a really important point, isn't it? It just doesn't happen overnight. You need to get to know each other. You need to understand each other well, I think, before this relationship can really work, isn't it? And have that mutual learning experience. A good relationship builds confidence. To be vulnerable, someone said.
Yeah, and I'd say, just jumping onto that, if in the first conversation that you have with your, even if it's kind of a formal process where you don't really know each other beforehand, often with the, I guess with the ECIS, with WISE, with ECIS, all those mentoring organizations, your first call may not be with somebody, or your first meeting may be with someone you don't know yet. And so jumping into mentoring someone without knowing them is going to be really hard. So it's that first step is absolutely getting to know people and building that relationship. I think somebody mentioned that vulnerability piece. You're not going to be vulnerable with somebody you don't know. You're not going to necessarily be open with someone you don't know. So that relationship is absolutely key.
Yeah. Amanda makes a really fantastic point here as well. You know, it's okay to realize when you're not the right mentor for a person, but you can help them connect with the right person.
Yeah, fabulous. You're definitely, yeah, I totally agree, Amanda. Okay. Anything else that we want to add in there?
No, I think that's it for now. Yep.
Fabulous. Okay, so mentoring, I'm just raising here that mentoring can take many different forms. So there's kind of, you know, sometimes when we say mentoring, we're thinking one-to-one formal mentoring is often what we think about. But that mentoring can take many different forms. So there's peer mentoring. A lot of organizations give you the option to be involved in a volunteer peer mentoring relationship, which really just speak to that mutualism that we were talking about earlier. Sometimes there's paid for programs. Sometimes you can volunteer and be a mentor, or find a free opportunity. There's reverse mentoring, and I find that the older I am getting, I am almost on a decade birthday, I won't tell you which one, and I find that I am turning more and more to being mentored by younger people who have not had as long lived experience as I have, but sure have a lot more experience in areas that I need to develop. So that reverse mentoring for me is, and I very much have put less experience in brackets there, because that's how it's termed in sort of literature. I don't believe that younger people have less experience. I believe they have different experience. And the reason I turn to people for mentors is because they have a lot more experience in areas that I need to grow in. Yeah, I was just today with my diving, I was being mentored by somebody, and I was like, oh, I think you're so young, you know, you're very young. And I trusted them with, you know, my health, safety, and well-being. So it's all about seeing the positivity and the strength in everybody, regardless of any personal identifiers. Okay.
And I think, Nick, just to add, in terms of a mentor, it can be that you're a mentor about a particular topic, subject, something. It doesn't have to be a mentor about everything, right? It's a particular expertise that you want to share and empower somebody else with your knowledge.
Absolutely. And that other people need, for sure. And so, yeah, today it was something to do with diving, and somebody was there to help us. And it may be leadership, it could be knitting, it could be hiking, something to do with hiking, it could be any area of your life that you need that guidance on, that you go and seek a mentor, or that you can mentor other people, for sure. Yeah, I just always go from that leadership lens, because that's kind of where my brain is when I think about that. The other thing is group mentoring. So you can have like a mentoring circle or a mentoring pod, where you sort of group mentor, either that's facilitated or that you facilitate within your group, and that gives you kind of a mini pod or a mini network of accountability and growth. Yeah, and I think the other ones we've covered. Now, I'm going to say Amanda did this perfectly. So 3 easy steps. Identify who is it that you want to be your mentor or your mentee, and you can identify both the person and the purpose. So you might be like, I know this person would make a great mentor for me. I'm going to I've sort of identified, and that's the person I want. Or it might be, I really need a mentor to help me navigate change management, because I've got a big change project coming up. Or I might need somebody to help me reorganize some systems. So I might need somebody who can mentor me in systems thinking, or I might need somebody to mentor me in strategic leadership, because I need to set up our strategic thinking for the next 3 years. So you can identify your purpose, your person, or both. Then the next step is to connect with them. So reach out to them, ask them, or reach out to an organization and sign up. And then it's that scheduling, that regular mentor-mentee relationship practice over time. Actually, I say over time, it might be a short time, because it might be a very specific thing that you need to be mentored on that's going to take a few weeks. It might be, as is often the case, a mentoring relationship that lasts a really long time, because it evolves as your relationship grows. Okay, so it can be either, but that's basically the steps to finding your mentor: is identify, connect, and schedule. And that can be through an organization, or it can be through an informal process of finding somebody that you want to mentor you.
And I would just add there, be brave, reach out to people, you know, if you have a connection, as we said already, maybe the person you're reaching out to can't or doesn't have the time, but can certainly always connect you. So just be brave in doing so. I think we're reluctant sometimes, because we always think, oh, they're probably too busy, or maybe not, unless it's part of a particular program. But I think always reach out. You never know.
Yeah, and I originally wrote this, and I wrote 3 easy steps, and then I took it out, because I was like, actually, it's not that easy to reach out to somebody, or to actually sometimes to say, I need some help with this, right? That asking for help, that asking people to do things, you know, you feel like, oh, well, they're going to be busy, they might not have time. Well, they might say yes. And if they say yes, you've got an advocate and an ally, and you're building your network. So yeah, for sure. But I did take the easy out. Okay, we're going to go into breakout rooms again. And thinking now, you may already have a mentor, or you may be looking for a new mentor or mentee. Who would you, basically, what type of mentor would you like? Why would you like one? And where might you find them? They're your questions that you're going to think about.
And we'll have about 5 minutes max for this one. So Abby will break us into groups again, and enjoy the conversations. And who knows, you might come out of the chat room with a mentor. Welcome back. Alrighty, I think everyone should be coming back just about now. Welcome back, everyone. Did anyone come out of a room having a mentor? A new mentor? Or the possibility of one? We hope so. We hope so. Or a mentee, even.
Or at least a new connection.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so just a couple of things before we wrap up. Just to help with growing mentorship around the world and in your organizations. So there are some, as we've mentioned before, matching is that process, formalized matching between a mentor and a mentee that organizations do. So WISE, ECOS, ECIS do that matching opportunity where you apply, get onto a register and they match you. Technology is our friend, as well as our time sucker at times. LinkedIn, Facebook, WhatsApp, there's lots of ways that you can connect with other people and find out where leaders are and get into networks and identify your potential mentor or mentee there. There are specific online communities like the Heartbeat sets up and organizes lots of online communities that are hosted on Heartbeat that have leadership focuses for anything. Do it yourself. You can always just set up your own organization or systems or mentor pods. Networks like this one is amazing. You can set up ones within your city, within your country. If that allows, you can do that yourself. And just remember to pay it forward, because we always want to be supporting each other. If you offer to be a mentor for someone else, they may well be a mentor for you. And I think we're just on the hour. So I'm going to put up my contact details. So if you have any questions, please do reach out. I'm happy to chat. I'm happy to talk. Just let me know if you've got any questions. Okay.
Nick, thank you so much for today, for taking time, particularly at the time of day it is for you. We really appreciate how we would not have known that it is, close to midnight for you now, just turned midnight. So
it's just turned tomorrow.
Tomorrow, yeah. So thank you again so much. A round of applause for Nick, please, everyone. And I am going to take a photograph of us all, if that's okay, because Nancy will kill me if I don't.
Well, I'll
We've got to
stop
make
sharing
sure
so we can get
take
everybody.
a photo. There we go. I'm just gonna smile, everyone. Big smiles. All right, I got it. I think I got it. Because Nancy, of course, is fantastic at doing this, and I always forget. So I'm going to try to see. Hopefully, I got it, so I can say. But anyway, a huge thank you today, Nick, for your insights, for your guidance, for your information and resources, and thank you to everyone who took time out of their day today to come and listen and to learn together. It's always an incredible pleasure to see so many women joining us each month. Next month we have International Women's Day, of course, and Liz Free and friends will be setting up a session for the ECIS Women in Leadership group. So we hope you can join us then. In the meantime, be safe, be well. Thank you again, Nick. Huge congratulations on a successful session. Thanks so much. And have a
Thanks,
great
everyone.
day, afternoon, evening, everyone. Take care.